Okay, so if you get that, that's great. Okay, gonna do it. Well, I'm not kidding. I think when I sent out the notice for this, I'd said I have several things on the go. And interesting enough, I say on the go, but the reality is some of them are still in my head. So I haven't actually started them yet, but I have a tendency of thinking about paintings before I start, because there's got to be a reason why I'm painting it. So I count them as being on the go because I actually do spend that time thinking about a painting before I start. Not always, but in certain cases. So I appreciate everybody coming. This is great. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I'm doing this week. And the one behind me is a painting that I started as a demo in a class. And it's funny. It's very detail oriented, but what I'm trying to do is give the impression of details without getting overly descriptive about every single thing. The photograph is rather dark. So I also work off my my laptop or my iPad that has a better image on it. But I put that up there as a reference so that you can see it. But what I wanted to explain with this one is I started as a demoing class just for underpainting, keeping it loose, setting up that contrast between the lights and darks, the warms and cools. So areas that are catching some of that light that's coming into this boat building. They're really, I started them as a warm underpainting. Areas that were a little bit more in the shadows or really pushed back into the depth of this boat building, I chose a cool underpainting. So it was a two-tone to start and done rather loosely, because again, one of my goals is to and it's a good idea having goals, even if you write them down, or you mentally have an idea of what you want to aspire or achieve or work towards. And one of my goals really is to paint so that I am showing just enough of objects so that people know what they are without really overemphasizing a lot of details, having things get pushed off into the background and kind of lose a sense of edges, especially in this one, because it gets deeper and darker as you go into this boat building. There's not a lot of light. It's just this natural light that's coming in the door. So, I don't know who it is, but just be careful and check your,
Oh, it's me, sorry.
okay, that's all right. It's just, this goes out to a whole load of people. I don't want anyone sharing any personal business.
No, I was feeding the dog.
Okay. I know who this is then. Anyway, thank you. So that's really just a little bit of a start on that. So I really was working on really just trying to do a little carving in earlier today on this, so that rather than drawing the shapes of the chain or drawing the shapes of the rope that's hanging down, it was really, I was carving the background so that it would come up to create that edge. But the reason I'm showing it to you and not working on it, this one was taking so much mental energy to use in my demo, that I decided that to try to do it again for any other sort of thing. And somebody else has their phone that's ringing. I have a good idea. Right now, can everyone just check to make sure that you're on mute? This is a little distracting. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So, that's why I'm showing it to you, and I'm not actually working on it really in the demo, and the people I was doing the demo for, absolutely, I think they would agree. I was just like this is like so much energy. I could not talk and paint at the same time. It's a very complex painting. So anyway, but I did want you to see what I was working on earlier. So this is one of the actual paintings that I'm working on, not one of the ones that's still in my head. So you're going to see what I do for a painting that's actually still in my head. So let me put this to the side. Okay, couple of things that I thought might be interesting. A few people have mentioned about the preliminary work that I do and you know, how I go about that. So I am going to go into, I'm gonna do a screen share. I'm going to go into Photoshop Elements. And I've mentioned it before, but if I've done it in an open studio, it's been a while. So I wanted to show you how I can crop and what I'm thinking about when I'm doing that in Photoshop. And if you don't have Photoshop, it is totally different. Okay, here we go. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to bring up Photoshop. Bummer. Okay, here we go. Let me move you guys over here. Photoshop Elements is the version for non-professionals. The professional Photoshop is, I believe it is a monthly subscription, and really at the end of the year, you've really spent quite a bit of money. Photoshop Elements is fine for those people that really want to have, you know, you can crop, you can edit colors, you can do a whole variety of things. I do just a tip of the iceberg of what Photoshop Elements will do, but it costs $99 just to get it. And that's, you know, for as long as you use it, it's just that $99. Well, at least that's what it was 2 years ago. And it's worth looking at if in fact you think you would like to be able to. Okay, can everyone see an image of a boatyard?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, super. Okay, well, I was out for a ride with my husband. We'd I love going out for a ride when somebody else is driving, because then I can take a load of photographs out the window or tell people to pull over. So we went down by the chart room, and they've got all the boats. They're all dry docked, so they're all over the place. The sun was getting low in the sky, so the light was just absolutely perfect. I got tons of photographs. And I really love painting boats. One of the things that happened, which I can correct, but I'm not going to take the time to do that now, is that the photo's a little bit cockeyed. So I have to bear that in mind. We can see that, and always check that with your photographs. These boats are not all on a slant, okay? My horizon back there is wrong. My camera angle was a little askew, so I have a little bit too much tilting going on here. So one of the first things I do when I get a photograph that I like is to actually think of what is leading me into the painting. What is it about the painting that I like? What am I trying to convey? And I've already said that what's happened with this one is it was clearly a winter day. It was cold, but the sun was really warm. It was falling across that landscape. And in this case, it was hitting the different parts of the boats on both sides. So, and look at the light that's down here. Isn't that glorious? I mean, it really is. It's like you're going through the shade. And if you live in the Northeast, or if you've lived anywhere near where it's cold, the reality of it is, you know that walking through here is probably icy, slippery, and a little treacherous because it looks very slippery. The areas that are sunny really are going to feel a lot warmer. It's going to feel a little chillier in there. So I'm kind of thinking of how I work through this in real life, but also in the painting. So first off, what I want to do is think about what elements in this painting are helping and what elements are distracting. I've already acknowledged the fact that I know that my horizon is off, everything's on a tilt, it's unfortunate, but can't do anything about that at the moment. And I don't know how to use the correct horizon thing well enough to do for everybody else, so I'm not going to. So here we go. Okay, a lot's happening. I've got this large shape here, and I tend to like large shapes that kind of frame a painting. The only thing is it's kind of, it's standing right on the edge of this left side plane. So what I want to do is see what happens if and I'm going to go into crop. So I'm going to see what happens if I go in here and I crop the painting. Okay, so let's hit that. We're going to hit accept. Okay, totally different field altogether. Okay, this boat here now becomes very, very powerful. Okay, it's almost this was really framing this boat here. Okay, and I must admit, I do like it. Doesn't feel like it's clutching to the side because we have a shorter width to this frame. Turning it into a portrait or a vertical format has helped with this here being a strong left edge object, but it also heightens the way that the mast is on the boat that's behind it. So this one is a possibility. What I'm thinking though is I've got a couple of things that I would find a little annoying. Is this boat here, I could downplay it a bit, but it is really pretty much in the center. And when I straighten it up, this mast is going to be right in the center. So let's go here. Oops, wrong one. Where'd it go?
Betsy, I can't see any changes. I just keep seeing the same picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Okay, let me hit stop share then. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now let's go in here. Can you see it now?
No.
No.
Oh, geez.
What are we
Okay,
supposed to see? I can see the picture of the boat, and on the corner, I can see a frame of you and your easel.
yeah, no. Oh, this is a shame because I've done this multiple times, so I'm not really sure why. Okay, let me try one more thing. Okay, start share. And I'm going to go to here. I think I know what I did wrong. Can you see it now?
Yes.
This is gonna be different.
Okay, okay.
No,
So, yeah.
I don't
So-
see that. I
So what you should, just so people can check, what you should see is you should see the Photoshop frame with all the information that, for all the different tools. And then in the center of the screen should be a tall, narrow image of a cropped version of that original one that I showed you. So is everyone seeing that?
Mhm.
Yes,
Super. Okay, great. So what happens with this is what I was saying, I'll repeat it since nobody could see it except for me, is that this boat sitting in the center, as soon as I kind of straighten everything up, this boat would be tipping over in real life if it was on an angle. Well, the mast is going to be cutting this right smack in the center, and that is really going to bother me. I don't mind certain things in the center, but in this case, it would be a very obvious central location. So let me come in and let me get it again, and I'll open up the original back. Oh, goodness me, it's not going back to the original. Sorry about this. Okay. I'll just go straight through. You can see there's my art stuff. Okay, we're going to go to boats. Well, at least you're going to see how I kind of keep everything organized. There's boats, and this is winter boats. There's winter boats. And you can see so I keep all my winter boats in that. And it is this one right here. You see the difference? Okay, so this one here, okay, you can now turn it into a square. And when we turn that into a little bit, that's not really quite a square actually, but see, now I've given a little bit more on this side, bringing this in. This is no longer in the center. Okay, that'll work. Let's go back to the original again, whoops. Go back to the
Betsy,
original.
those tire tracks seem like they would be really important to the design because they add
Well,
movement.
I do love the truck. Yeah, I do love the tracks that are going in there because they are a nice lead in.
Yeah, along with that kind of shape, kind of pavement shape in the beginning. That's another nice shape towards the front.
Yeah.
That maybe it's
Yep.
black dark ice or something.
Okay. Well, I'm very disappointed. Usually I don't really have this amount of trouble using it. I don't really know why it's not opening up fully. Okay. Let's hit that. Let's hit this. Okay, that's a different one. Oh, geez. Oh, that's another one. Oh. Well, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to have to disband this idea because for some reason, my image just keeps disappearing and going back to the last one. But what I was going to show you with Photoshop, and usually it's not this funky because I have used it multiple times for demos, is you are able to get in there and crop and look at the different elements of the painting and the composition, the movement in where the light's falling, the fact that I really did like this large shape on the side, that I wanted to avoid this being in the middle. The other thing that I would look at while I'm in here showing you this is if you see the top of this building and the top, we've kind of created a tangent here with this building. It is on a slight side because we are seeing the side of the building here and we're seeing the side of the roof there, but it's falling right in line with this peak right here where the edge of the boat hits the top of the roof. So I would either raise the building or lower the building so that this line right here is not in line with the edge of the boat. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to show you this without
I
a
have
stop.
no idea, Betsy, if you can hear me, but I just
Yeah.
have to give you tons of credit for what you just said. So,
Oh,
yes. Oh, God, you're the best. You're great. Okay. Nice.
did it make,
Nice
it made sense?
thinking.
I'm just sorry, I don't know what I was doing.
I
with-
know, I know. Technology always acts up. All
Yeah,
right.
well, thank you
Thank
for
you,
saying
dear. It
something.
was fabulous. You had the right idea, though. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what, and that's what you want to do with a photograph, because what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you the photograph. I'll just do it the old fashioned way when I first started
Right.
teaching decades ago.
But, I know,
And we actually didn't
technology
even
lets
have
us down.
AV equipment.
Yeah.
So the reality of it is the photo itself is nice. It has a lot of wonderful elements in it. This is off to the side. I still have the large
Okay.
boat here. I've got the path that's coming in. I've got all this activity here. But even if you like your original photograph, what you want to do is you want to get in there and you want to play around with different compositions. And the quickest way you can do that is by thinking of the format. This is a landscape format. It's in a horizontal plane is the longest, shorter on the height. I could take, and this is what I was going for, seeing what would happen if I turned this into more of a portrait format. This feels very side heavy. I mean, this way here, I almost felt like it got lost. This way here, it feels like it's taking over. So that's why the second one I was showing you, and let's see if I can fold this the way, and this is like an easy way to do it, just take a sheet of paper and fold it. Turn it into, it still doesn't look like a square, but turn a little wider portrait format, not feeling quite so heavy there. I've got a little bit more. Look at, oh, this is what you want to look for. You want to look for light. I don't want to lose this light right here. This light right here is beautiful. We've got light that's just clipping right a couple of edges. We've got light that's falling through here. Okay. What's of use on this side? That's what you really want to say to yourself. What is helping the composition that's on the left-hand side? One of the things is it is framing for the road that's going there. the reality of it is we can still see that road there. Now let's just change it a little bit more. That looks more like a square. Okay, we've got a little bit more and just a touch of the boat here. That's kind of nice because it's a connection between the light that's falling, a couple of places here, the light that's here, and a touch of it that's falling right on the side. And see, it's this little bit back here. Always think of where's that path of light that's going through it. And for me, that often means more than the way objects are, you know, like the path coming in is great with the ruts from the trucks going back and forth, the edge that's made because of the boat standing there. But the reality of it is it's really the light that I find more intriguing than the actual path. And I could kick up a little bit of the light here. I mean, when you start doing that, you have to think of if there's a little bit more light here, is there going to be other light hitting other places? Look at the edge right here. Yep, that is light. Look at that light. That's right there on the edge. And the photo's too dark. Okay, so I have to bear that in mind too, that I know a printed photograph is going to be darker. Now let's try something different. Okay, so we've done your more traditional landscape. We've done an elongated, I mean, we've done our portrait. Now what I'm going to do is come in. Okay, we have, that changes it a lot, doesn't it? Look the way that.
Woo,
Oh,
all right.
I don't know, this is looking kind of good. You know what, you can't, well, the way my brain works, the
No,
physical
that's
either
cool.
folding or going into Photoshop and cropping, sometimes it's like, wow, okay. That is because I still have the frame, because remember, I like that frame. And I think partly I like that frame because it interrupts the sky that's behind it. I mean, somebody else might say, yeah, but I would like the whole sky going away. Yeah, I'm going straight across. I kind of like this shape. See the way that comes in and goes out, looking at these dark shapes right here. That is one good thing about a lousy printed photograph is it is going to create darker darks. So you can see those dark shapes against the light shapes, which is really what you want to be thinking. Look at this. Wow, look at that real strong dark shape that comes in here. And what's it doing? It's pointing right at this light shape. I've got this edge here that's bringing me back to light here.
Very nice.
Still have a lot of busyness right here. And this is where that one, what I would be doing is thinking in terms of simplify that. And I was mentioning yesterday with a class is simplifying doesn't necessarily mean, for me, leaving things out. It means I'm looking at things from the point of view of values that are merging together. Have a lot of similar values in here. Some are a little lighter or darker than others, but a lot of that are falling in the middle to dark end of a value bar, a value scale through here. So I can simplify. I don't have to do all that detail. More details happening here, okay, because we're seeing higher contrast, a wider range in that value. We've got a lot of lights, we've got some darks, we've got some middles. So back here, really could wind up being almost as if, oh geez, what do you see? Now that we're talking about it, I got to put it here. No, it's too far away. Okay. What's happening with this building? Can anyone see? It's kind of like sitting right smack in the middle. Okay, so watch this. Shifted it over to the side. I still have this. All these factors, you know what, I'm kind of thinking I like this because I have this nice vertical planes that are standing up here. I've got my curve that's coming in. I've got this dark edge that's coming right in and bringing us right to this light. And then I've got all these shapes in here that are very different from the shapes over here, okay? A lot of contrast happening here, a lot of large shapes that are, you know, like that in your face, real, which is what I like about buildings and boats and things like that is, you know, that real sturdy. And then this little, almost like a second thought building in the back. Okay, so this is, some people may say this is like too much, too busy, too much math or everything. So this is what I have, okay? So I am gonna put this up here so I don't have to try to hold five things. So this is what I do. Oh, the other thing that I'm noticing here is, look at this this shape up here. Look at that lovely shape. Very different up here. And that's usually what I'm looking for, things that are slightly different. Okay, so let's see how big this is. So this is 9. This is 9 by 5.5. So a 9 by 5.5. Gonna whip out my little proportion wheel here. 9 by 5.5. I take and I move that. There's 9 by 5.5. They're lined up right there. So, and if I follow along, it tells me all the different sizes it could be. And these are all going to be unusual sizes because it's not a typical proportion. You know, like a 9 by 12, 8 by 10, 9 by 12, 11 by 14, 12 by 16, even 12 by 18, 16 by 20. Those are things that are more typical sizes, especially if you start thinking about framing. Okay, so none of these, it's not going to be anything typical at all. And there's really nothing that it's pretty close to either. So what I could do is I could say, okay, well, that's okay. I'll just do something that's an unusual size. And this 11 by 18 kind of sounds funky and fun. And there's a 10 by 16 here. That would work out well if I wanted to do it big. But to tell you the truth, I'm one of these people that I do like doing things in fairly standard sizes. So I'm going to kind of rethink this. And the closest one it was to was, oh, I could do a 12 by 18. I like 12 by 18, and that gives you that length. It's a little different than 12 by 16. Those extra 2 inches gives you not a panoramic, but it gives you just that much extra. So if I did that, it would mean I would have to add a little bit extra on the side here. And I could do that, and I could either give a little bit more space in here, okay, move these over, or what I could do is I could unfold the photograph, but I don't really want all that busyness on this side. I like it offset, so I think I'm going to forget that idea, and I'm just going to increase the space in the middle, and this will tell me how much I have to increase it. So let me just go back to where I was, and whoops, I forgot what I said this was. Where's my ruler? There it is. Okay, so that's 5 by 9. Okay, so let's see here. So if I want to do that as a 12 by 18. Oh, it's nowhere near a 12 by 18. I'd have to add, I'd have to add at least a ½ an inch in there. That wouldn't be bad. I could swing that. Okay. So that's the way I would treat that photograph. But before I would actually make up my mind, I'm going to open this up. I already have the folds here, and I'm going to show you the next thing I would do. Okay, and I have my China marker and my the white one and the black one. I have a pen and a marker, And these are pre-made cards that I do. And so this one's a 4x6, and those are the different sizes that are standard. This is the one I was going for, a 1x2, but that is not a 1x2 the way I folded it up. So I might play around and see if I can fold this down the correct way. This is what I use for my preliminary sketches. So I trace all these, but before that, what I'm going to do is get in there and just do some real quick thumbnail sketches. And I'm just going to move this in a bit. And go there, and we'll slide that over so you can see it. Okay, so these thumbnail sketches are just really quick. Okay, not a lot of measuring. Okay, I've got my portrait there, and this is the one where I had my boat, and I put my boat in here, dark, and I had the building, and I know I want to drop the building, so I can drop it right in here. Just really quick, I had that lovely, see, it's that lovely curve. I'm enamored with that curve, which you should be really careful about, because what happens, sometimes you get enamored with something and it's like, why are you doing that? You know, you're just making your life harder, and maybe it's not even going to make a good painting. I'm just going to do a quick little, get in those areas that are dark, middle, the paper's acting as white. I've also gotten, oh, I love working on gray tone paper. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to see how the movement in this is. Okay, so this is what I mean by movement, okay? My eye's coming in on this calf because this is where I had that snow. I come up and I have this lovely curve that I like, okay? And I've got that other one there. I've got my shape here where the boat is. I've got my building, which I've kind of dropped a little bit. And then the curve goes here. Okay, eye comes in, goes over here, because this is dark, and that's dark around it, dark underneath it. And I've got that. I'd have to shift it because it's in the middle. So I'm aware of that, make a little mark. Sometimes I'll just write the word shift. It has potential, but this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a void of the front, and then it just curves like this, and then it just is really kind of busy. I'm not seeing, let me do one more. Whoops. This is what I'm seeing. So I'm not seeing anything, and just everything comes right back down to here, which I'm not really crazy about. Okay, so I'd have to work on that one a little bit. So this portrait one, I would really have to pay attention to the underlining structure there. And that underlining structure is what keeps your eye, well, it keeps my eye moving around the painting. And this one, it's just hovering right here. Even if I shaded that in, here you're still winding up in the middle again. Okay, so that guy's a question mark, probably a maybe, probably a no. Okay, the next little thumbnail I'm gonna do is horizontal format, and that is your more typical landscape design. That one was portrait. This one's landscape. Okay, and I had a few different ways that I had done that. So the thumbnails shouldn't be big and they shouldn't be a lot of time, but you should just play around with it. Okay, so I had the one where I had taken off a bit on the side, and I'm going to start right here because this is where I had the little building here. And I had that little bit of light that was here. I had the curve coming around, and I had this dark patch here that came in. I have my snow. Okay, so now I'm in here. I have my snow here. And I have my boat here. Now it might wind up in the middle again, but I can shift that. Okay, now it's kind of in the middle again. And then I have my big boats here. Big boat there. A lot of dark here. little building showing up right there. Let's get this guy's a little higher. This road that came around the back with the light. And it's that light that's right there that I like. I feel like there's a little more movement here. Okay, so I'm coming in. I'm curving around. This was a tight curve, so it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. And the building was so close to the edge. The building's a little farther away. The curve's coming around. So I've now got this. And I've got this nice vertical here, another vertical here. If I shift it again out of the middle, this one is definitely more promising as the landscape goes. Okay, and I'm just gonna just quickly do a little bit like that because there's not a lot of light in here. And I'm gonna just make it a little bit darker where those dark areas are. And the roof of this building was a little darker, just quick. And then there was dark areas back there. And then I've got a little bit of the edge of the boat right here, which that edge of the boat is actually, look at the edge of the boat is actually bringing you in that same curve. Okay, I'm liking this one. Then I have the long, thin one. Okay, your elongated format. This is like your 1:2 format over here. Before I go any further, let me do this. This is what my idea was to show you this. I talk about the movement in a painting. Okay, I'm coming in. Okay, curving around here. That curved in here. I had my building. I have my light. I have my boat. Okay, this frames over here, this side, this frames this side, and it keeps everything. When you go over here, you come back again because little details are in here. Got the light, I got the building, and again, all I want to do is, do that. So it's the rule of thirds, and if I move this building around, so it's somewhere. I'm not an exact person. Does not have to be mathematical, but I am going to think about then. Where's this building? It's going to be up a little bit higher here because oh gosh, yeah, there we go. May not be high, it may wind up being low. Okay.
Betsy, Betsy, when you did the sketch you just finished, before you started curling in, did you deliberately use that approach where you never lifted your pencil, or you weren't aware that you drew the whole thing without lifting your pencil? That's a particular sketching approach.
Right. I guess I'm not aware of it. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, that it's a positive. Don't worry. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I've now reduced I have more room for sky here, which I do like because more room for sky means that these shapes that are going up off the edge of the painting don't feel so restricted. So now let's try this. I'm going to start down here again. Okay, came in. Okay, I curved. Now I'm going to be conscious of lifting my, okay, this was a little, okay, we got the building here. We had that boat that's curving here. Okay, but no matter what I do, I think I'm going to get this boat right smack in the middle and up, and a lot of busyness there. And then there's the top of the boat, and there's that lovely snowbank that's catching all that light. That looks kind of stagnant again. Let's just color in the dark and the light shapes. Well, I moved this guy a little farther away, so let me just move that there. Okay, dropped him. Light, got a little bit light here, curving around. I've lost the ability to really have like this nice little arch in here. I either have to flatten it or I have to have it go off lower down here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It makes a little curve there before I hit the snowbank. This would be light. Again, this guy has to shift. But I guess this boat wants to be in the middle of the painting. Okay, that's shaded, I got a little bit of light there. And then we've got the boat building there. And again, okay, let's see what this one looks like, the way we move around inside this one. Really like this photograph. I'm doing a funky one with this, but I also wanted to, okay, I'm coming in. Okay, coming up, going around, coming over here. No, I still come in on this side. My eye doesn't naturally go like that. My eye comes in and goes back over here. And my guess is because, see, there's this white snowbank that's coming in here. So that you're coming in and the white snowbank is bringing us back and over, back around the corner. This is the way I'm going through this painting. This is just framing this. Okay, those little sketches kind of help me figure out the way I'm seeing it. But these guys frame this, and I prefer the one that has more sky. Although that cropped one that was tight would be interesting, and I've taken a photograph and I've done it in a variety of different ways. I would play around with sketches. So these little thumbnail sketches are perfect for just getting your ideas together, okay? You don't have to go crazy with a whole load of detail. I mean, clearly we can tell by my drawing, but this idea of seeing the way the shapes move within something, I find really helpful. I'm usually looking for something, that has a really strong structure, okay? You've got, oh, wait a second. Oh, now that I'm saying this, look at, I do have it. It's an L, okay? A double L. Okay, now that's the L composition. Does not, I mean, it could be backwards, it could be sideways. I mean, it's just a terminology. Okay, look at this. It's coming down, it's going over. Okay, coming down, going over. So wow, it's really interesting when you think here, this is coming down, going over. The second boat coming down, going over. I've got then I wind up having my little boat shed with the lights right in here. And this would apply even if it was a regular size. First one I did was elongated, and the next one I'd go up higher. So either way I look at it, it's elongated. I mean, it's an L composition, a double L actually. This is what I mean. Coming down, going over. Coming down, going over. Coming down, going over. The difference here is the light back here changes it. Dark coming over, dark coming over. There's your light, light, light coming over. So it's a double L. Well, isn't that a great way of figuring out what's in the painting? Hopefully that was helpful, listening to how that went. Let me just go back for a second now. And what I tried to do is pick out a photograph that I really just, I had not done anything to except for to say that I liked it. So you did get to hear the process of me surprising myself with what was in that painting, what was in that photograph. The next step that I would do would be to do a 3-tone value sketch. And I'm not going to do that now, but what I will show you is, this is another one that I was working on, and this is cropped down to the way that I wanted it. And then this one's actually 4-tone on gray tone paper. So I've been able to divide my painting into 2 light values, 2 dark values, and setting in that same, see, this one's very much of a, I saw this very much as a diagonal. I have a diagonal that has horizontals that are coming across. I've got that opposing diagonal on this side too, but it was really this diagonal of the darks against the boat that was in the water that was dry docked. Actually, it wasn't in the water. The water was really shallow. It's right there. But very much of a diagonal composition. And that was looking on that. So I did the same sort of thing with that, and then deciding, look at this. Again, look at this real strong dark area that's here. Okay, and the dark area of these boats here bring us right to this one, which I see really as the feature of the painting. You know, partly the other thing that I did is I also extended this over a little bit more. So the truck up here wouldn't have been cut off quite so much, because that's like a framing nightmare. You wind up having just a tiny bit. So it just moved it in just a little bit more, but look at that diagonal, and these are coming down to the bow. These are going up. Look at the diagonals that we have in here. Even the water line back here, diagonal opposite, but it really creates this lovely pattern of more middle light and middle dark back here. And really that lovely contrast of dark and light. So that would be my next step, would be to do this. And like I said, that gray tone paper with the China markers is wonderful because it just doesn't, it doesn't smear. You know, I wish I'd found out about it like years ago, but the stuff is fabulous. The biggest difficulty is that you can't, and I know I've talked about it before, you can't really erase it. So typically what I'll do is I will draw with pencil first, and then I'll go over that with the China marker, giving at least 3 values: the paper that's gray, the black China marker, and the white China marker. But sometimes I'll stretch it like the one I just showed you, where the gray tone paper was really a middle light and I used the white, and then by pressure I created a middle dark and a dark. So then I had 4 values. So if you like to sketch, trying new materials is a great way of expanding your repertoire, because, you know, for different things, you do different types of sketching. And if you're not someone who likes to sketch, maybe you should just try it a little more, because it's really, and you don't have to be, don't look for perfection. Look for just picking up those lights and darks, the big shapes, the patterns that you're seeing, and not necessarily copying the photograph or the scene if it's plein air or still life, but bringing in your own ideas into that composition, kind of like what I was doing with this. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to leave out? What am I going to compress? What am I going to, you know, merge because the values are close? So all those things go on in my head. And I've been thinking about these 2 photographs, this one and that one. I've been thinking about them for a while. Clearly the one I drew longer. But the photograph that I held up just now with the boats on the diagonal with the trucks, that is actually a YouTube video that I did showing how I actually did. Oh no, I didn't do that one as a YouTube video, did I? No, there's a different one out there of a boat in the snow, and that shows how I take the photograph into a sketch, into a value sketch using the China markers. I have to get everything straight, what I do with what I do with my recordings. Some go YouTube and some don't. So just any questions or anything anybody wants to ask me?
Betsy, could you hold up the China markers you're speaking about? I happen to think they've been around forever because they peel off. Although that's it.
Yeah, they do. They're wax.
Okay.
Wax medium, which means that they don't smear. Okay.
Which is
And well, you know, and if I was doing that with a graphite pencil or a regular pencil, a lead pencil, it would be smearing, especially if I wanted to get, really dark areas. And that's why they're so nice. And the fact that on gray tone, you've got your light, your gray tone paper, and your dark. So you've got 3 values right off the top. And they are, I believe they're called China markers because they were used for writing on China glass. I wouldn't be surprised if they're used. Is anyone here a mosaic artist or work with stained glass? Because my guess is you could draw on glass with this if you were, an artist that worked, with glass. Also ceramics, you could probably draw on that too. I don't know a lot about them, except for I really like them. Any other questions?
On the proportional, you had a proportional chart?
Proportion, yeah. Yeah,
I've never
it's
seen
great.
that, and I think it looks wonderful. How does it work?
It is wonderful. It is wonderful because you know what? It's just like, this is it. Let's say I had this guy folded down here. I said, oh, I'm gonna do this. I like this. I'm gonna do it just like that. Okay, and that's gonna be my guide. I'm gonna do it. I like it. And I got out a sheet of paper and it was, a 9 by 18. Okay, 1:2 proportion. This photograph will not fit into a 9 by 18. Okay, it's not the right proportion. And that's why when you start doing your sketches, I mean, truthfully, this is just an index card. Oh, this is an index card. This is I don't know what that is. Oh, actually, that's just a piece of cardboard. Just, make yourself a whole slew of these guys in the different sizes, so that when I go into my sketchbook, okay, I just traced one of them and I know that this can be a 12 by 18. I did do some fiddling around with it and, goofing up, because I did wind up expanding it as I went along, because at first I was going to have it as I forgot what size I was going to have it as first, and I just kept growing it out, but sticking within that same size so that I knew that, proportionally, clearly a square is just a square. But the ones that are the most common, for standard sizes is to have, and an index card is perfect. An index card is 4 by 6. So what I do on an index card all the way over is a 4 by 6. And then that shows me the sizes that it is. It's an 8 by 12, a 12 by 18, and a 16 by 24. Okay. 1 inch in gives me 4 by 5. And that is an 8 by 10 and a 16 by 20. And very close, but not enough to make a huge difference depending on what you're doing. It's very close to a 12 by 16 and a 9 by 12, which for me doing, my sketches in my book, not these little guys here, 3 by 4 is really small. So I used to cut out a 3 by 4 so that I had it for, like the 9 by 12 and a 12 by 16. But I found that it was great for simplifying, but it was just too small. So I just use a 4 by 5, and I know that, I have a little code on the side that tells me I need to make the 5 a little bit longer. It's really 5 1/3 for a 12 by 16 and 9 by 12. All those.
Betsy?
And I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a mathematician, but this thing is just like great. Dick Blick. It's used by
Okay.
architects. And it's wonderful for taking because you know what, how soon as you have a photograph and you say, I'm going to use this photograph, this is great. Okay, it's going to fit in this
It won't fit.
rectangle. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you get partway through and you're saying, well, wait a second, things aren't fitting. Why do I have all this space at the top or on the side? And it's because visually, yes, it's a rectangle, but there's just enough of a difference between the size of the photograph you're looking at proportional to the sheet of paper. And that's, for me, that's really important, because if I'm doing all these scenes that are really busy with boats and buildings, I want to make sure that, do I need to make this building like that one? Do I need to make that building a little bit longer on one side than the other to actually make it fit into the format of the paper? So that's why that proportion wheel helps you keep photograph, sketch, painting, all those sizes are proportional, just
Wow.
small to large. So it works out great.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. So Dick Blick, and they're not that much. And this is a nice big one. I've got little ones too, but I have 5 of them. They're all different spots. Any other questions?
Not a question, just an applause.
Oh.
Oh,
Thank you,
no,
thank you.
seriously, that was fabulous. You
Oh,
are
good.
really the best. That you would
Oh.
let people know everything about the process. I have to say, congratulations. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you, thank you. You know what? And it's interesting hearing, I mean, somebody else would attack this totally different. And, so listening to how different artists attack or start or think about a
Yes.
painting that they're going to do and what is it that they do to get there. And
Right.
I do tend to be one of these people that, I'm not really a methodical person. I'm usually, kind of like thinking of a lot of things at once, but this sets me everything up. And I do find that when I paint, and I've said this before, the planning that I've done ahead of time helps me be more spontaneous when I paint. Because I don't get tightened by all this preliminary stuff. I see it as steps towards it moving into the painting that I'm kind of envisioning. And in the same sense, I go with the flow, as I start to paint and, if things start to change, they change. That's okay.
And that's
But
right.
that composition, couple of good authors that you can look up that have really great information, both online, social media, YouTube, but also have books. One of them is Ian Roberts. He's a Canadian oil painter, and he does a lot with composition and compositional structure. And that's what I meant by my L design is the underlying composition that I'm seeing in there. That helps you focus on what do you simplify, okay? What can you eliminate and what can you keep in? The other artist has a new book, and it's Mitch Albala. And I can't remember the name of the book. He has two, but one of them really was just published at the end of 2021. It's probably Landscape something or other. And he has a lot of information on your composition, your formats, the eye moving within the painting. I mean, he's got lots in there. So those are two really good artists. Neither one of them are pastel artists, but the underlying work that goes into setting in a good composition is really,
Betsy,
and it
it's-
doesn't matter
it's just
what
called-
medium it is, printmaking, painting, photography, it's all the same sort of thing.
It's
Yep.
just called- it's
Can you
just
spell
called-
Mitch Albala? Can you
Yeah,
spell
his last name is Albala.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me walk over here and just see if I have the book in my studio.
He also has two fabulous YouTubes. One is with Winslow Art Chat and the other one was, I think, ArtNet. And what's nice about these interviews is somebody put together a table of contents. So for example, at 25 minutes, 20 seconds, he talks about no times. At 40 minutes, 22 seconds, he talks about, can you be spontaneous? It's well done interviews, and his book is nice because it's what I call bite-sized pieces. Like I go down to the pond, sit in my car, I only need to read it for 20 minutes. It's not dense. He breaks it down into really kind of like what Betsy's doing now, like really bite-sized pieces. And, I find myself, I just finished the 4th composition chapter, now flipping over some of my pictures that were disasters, and I can clearly understand why. So I think his book is excellent. It was supposed to come out in November, but it was stuck on a container ship in the Atlantic for for 3 months. Yeah.
And both of those
I looked it
artists
up.
you can find them on YouTube. Now, Ian Roberts, he does a weekly YouTube video. And his are very, he does a lot of this sort of thing where he's, showing and describing. He does some on actual painting, but he does a lot on the preliminary work too. I believe they come out on a Tuesday, but I can't remember. I never really actually watch them when they come out because I'm doing something else. But he does a lot on YouTube. And again, his books are great. He's
Betsy,
got a
I
few.
looked it up. It's called the Landscape Painter's Workbook,
There you
Essential
go.
Studies in Shape, Composition, and Color. And it's
That's it.
Mitchell Albala, Albala.
That's it. Perfect. Yes. He has an older book, but his new one, he says, it's like over time, as artists, our work changes, our intent changes with what we're doing, our approach changes. So the newer book is the one that, he says really encapsulates even more than the first one that I think he said he did maybe 15 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
The photograph, he includes, I think, 40 artist work. Some folks,
Yes.
Tony Elaine's in it.
Yep.
Lorianne Sejourne's in it. She's the master of combining like values and also using grays, and just the art he chose to honor those artists alone is worth the book. And you can clearly see, he picks
True.
he picks an artist and he makes the point. And that is worth the alone worth the book. Yeah.
And you know what? And I applaud him too for including pastel artists.
He did, yeah,
because
several, yeah.
Sometimes pastel artists really don't get the same recognition as oil painters. So it was absolutely thrilling to open
Yeah.
up this book by a renowned oil painter and have examples of pastel artists that are current or pastel artists.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely worth it, definitely. But yes, so any other comments, questions, or? Okay, well,
This-
thank
this
you so
was
much, everybody, for
fantastic.
coming. Next time you get those photographs, play around with folding them up. Or if you go for Photoshop Elements, remember it's the Photoshop Elements is the one that's affordable. And just play around with the different formats, play around with how are those shapes falling, and look for that underlying thread that is making your, how are you traveling through that painting? Okay?
This has been great.
Thank you.
Really.
It is.
Thank
Loved
you.
it.
As
Oh,
usual.
good, good.
Fabulous.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Awesome.
much. Oh,
Okay,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Betsy, very much.
see you guys in
Great.
April.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Betsy.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.